Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to be talking about my med kit, or IFAK, individual first aid kit. And I have my own personal opinions about these things. I think that if you are into the adventure lifestyle, meaning you do dangerous things outside your house, doesn't matter what it is, shooting guns, driving off-road vehicles, climbing, rappelling, surfing, whatever it is that you're into that is something kind of dangerous outside your house, then you should have one of these. Sometimes medical help may not be there right away, so it's good to have one of these on you at all times. Especially like my channel, I'm a gun channel. I highly recommend having one of these because guns are inherently dangerous and you can get a ricochet. Matter of fact, here in Vegas a few months back, there were some young guys that were out in the desert doing some night shooting out in the desert, way out. I mean, we're talking 15, 20 miles out deep in the desert at night, midnight. They shot into something in the dark. The berm had some rock or metal inside of it, ricocheted back and killed the guy. Shot him in the chest, and I don't think he died instantly. He bled out and he died. If they had some medical gear on them, maybe they could have saved his life. I don't know the details about that, but you get the point. Also, it's nice to have medical life-saving gear on you, just because in general, I think if we all pitch in and do our part as human beings, decent human beings, maybe we can help save more lives just because there's more people who care about each other. Say you go down the road and you get into a car accident, or you see a car accident, and there's people that are seriously injured and there's medical people on scene. They're nurses or doctors. Maybe they don't have a kit on them. But when you roll up on scene, you're bringing some of the basics of emergency medicine that they can use. There's guys that work with guns that don't carry med kits, and I think that's a big mistake. You work around guns, you should have a med kit in case you get a ricochet that hits an artery and now you're bleeding out and you got a minute or so to stop that bleeding before you die. You're going to wish that you carried a tourniquet on you that you can put on yourself, more importantly, or maybe somebody else can put it on for you. So anyways, let's go ahead and take a look what I have inside my IFAK. All right, so this is the VanQuest Fat Pack, and it comes in different colors and different sizes. Matter of fact, here's a little tiny one right here, which is nice for people who don't want to carry a lot of stuff. And then here's a little bit bigger one. As you can see, it's a little bit fatter. But yeah, it doesn't matter exactly what pouch you use to carry your medical gear as long as you have one. But this is nice gear by VanQuest. And as you guys know, I've been a fan of VanQuest for many years now. The nice thing about this VanQuest one is the fact that it has this pull tab here. These MOLLE straps here allow you to mount it to almost anything. And you can pull this tab here and get access to everything, and it just kind of splays open, nice and accessible. You don't have to have all the things that I have. I have a little bit of extra gear in here just because I have some training and experience as an EMT back in my past. But by far, you don't need all this stuff. Like I said, there's different sizes and things you can do to set this thing up the way you want to. But at a minimum, if there's one thing you learn from this video, there's two things actually you should have. Is you should have some way to illuminate your scene. Wherever you're at, you should have a way to see what you're doing, because if you can't see what you're doing, you can't correctly identify what's going on with the injured person, or even yourself for that matter, if you're the injured person. Yes, you could go with a smaller, lighter light that runs off of button cell batteries, or even AA or AAA batteries. The reason why I like this one here, this is a Thrunite TH-10 with 850 lumens coming out the front here. That's a powerful flashlight. Matter of fact, it's very similar in power to a dedicated tactical flashlight like this TN12, which has over 1,000 lumens coming out the front. But there's a reason why that I like having this light in this kit here. If shit hits the fan and Murphy's Law kicks in, and this is the only thing that I grab as I'm running to an emergency, at least I know I have a powerful flashlight. Maybe I left my other flashlight in my bag or in my vehicle, whatever the case may be. So I don't have access to everything. I just have this one bag. This is the one bag I grabbed to go save somebody's life. At least I know I have 850 lumens in this flashlight that I could put on my head. And that's the biggest thing that I like about it too, is you should have a headlamp. Although it's nice to have a pen light, you don't want to be putting that pen light in your mouth or holding it up on your shoulder or your underarm. You need to mount it on your head so you can use both hands to do what you got to do to save lives. If you're going to do CPR, you're going to want your hands free. I have it loaded right now with 2 CR123 batteries. Now, why would I have this flashlight loaded with 2 CR123 batteries? Well, the reason why is because this med kit is going to be sitting in a bag or my vehicle for a long period of time. So we're talking, it could be a year, and I recommend a year as the longest you should go before you check everything out, because some of this stuff may, degrade over time or expire, whatever the case may be. But technically, CR123s last for 10 years. So I could have this in a bag or in a vehicle for 10 years, and it'll still be usable to save lives. And that's the beauty of CR123s. I know there's guys out there that hate these things. Oh, I got to keep buying those, and I don't have the budget to keep buying those flashlights. Yeah, for duty or tactical use, I would not really want to use these because they're expensive. They're like $1 a piece for the most part, maybe even more, depending on where you live. But for a prepper, survivalist, these are great because of the 10-year shelf life. Now, say I get to the scene and for whatever reason Murphy's Law kicks in and these die for whatever reason, although this thing has an incredibly long lifespan. But I can swap it out for a single 18650 lithium-ion rechargeable and keep on going, which is nice. Having something that has dual capabilities is always nice in a survival situation, emergency situation. If you're interested in buying one of these and basically doing what I'm doing and throwing one of these in your med kit or your bug out bag, these are about $40, 45 bucks, depending on where you shop. I'll leave a link to all the places you can buy this in the video below. Fantastic light, absolutely love it. Like I said, hands-free, very powerful. If I need to do search and rescue, I can do this as well, or even combine it with a good strong handheld flashlight and use this, because the more light the better when it comes to finding somebody who needs to be found. All right, so what else do I have inside my IFAK or med kit? If there's one thing that I recommend that you carry, that should be a tourniquet. All this extra stuff here is nice if you have a medical background, but if you're just an average Joe with not very much money, but you want to be useful in an emergency situation where people are bleeding, this is the one thing that you should carry. So this is a cat tourniquet, and there's different types of tourniquets out there that people are used to, people like better, but this is just the one that I'm used to. You'll see a lot of law enforcement carrying these nowadays, especially with active shooter training. Almost nobody that I know of in law enforcement now goes on patrol without a tourniquet. And the reason why is because if you get shot or if someone else gets shot, the number one way to save their life, if you can stop the bleeding, is to put a tourniquet on. And it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into all the details, but essentially how it works is you stick your arm or your leg, and those are the only two things that you're going to use this on as an extremity, an arm or a leg. You got a big hole in your arm or your leg, and it's bleeding out blood. You got arterial blood coming out, and you want to stop it, or at least slow it to where you can get to the hospital and doctors can save your life. You put this over the leg or the arm. You're going to put this above the hole. Make sure you have this thing open, by the way. You don't want to have this thing wrapped in plastic. You want it ripped out of the plastic and already opened up so you can put a leg in it right away. So, because every second counts. I see guys carrying these things sometimes and they don't even have this thing unpackaged. It should be unpackaged and preset to be put on. And you'll just put this around the leg or the arm, grab that red tab there, and tighten it down. As you can see, it goes all the way down just like that. And you can do this with one hand. Of course, this is a horrible demonstration because I'm doing this right here on my wrist. And then once it's tightened down fairly snug to where blood is starting to slow down, you can even control how tight you put this thing with this tension bar here. You can twist it. See how it twists? You can keep twisting it until it locks into these hooks right there. And now you can really cinch down and stop that blood from pouring out of your body. And you only have a few minutes before all your blood pumps out. Once you do that, the blood is either slowed or stopped. You're going to want to lock it in place so it doesn't come off. And you're not going to ever take this off once you put it on. There's more details on how to use this, but for the most part, you're never going to take off a tourniquet until you get to the hospital so a doctor can do it properly. You're going to want a marker pin to mark the time when you put this on, because there's a certain amount of time that you can leave a tourniquet on before it really starts doing some damage, actually. So there you go. That's one of the bare minimum emergency pieces of gear that you should have inside your med kit is a tourniquet. Another thing that seems kind of logical along with the tourniquet is a large gauze dressing. This is an ABD pad. Some people call this an abdominal pad. It's a big, humongous dressing that you can stuff into a wound. And then you can take your gauze dressing and wrap it around nice and tight to add some pressure and even reinforce it with some ACE bandages. So that's real basic first aid stuff right there. Of course, you're going to want your gloves for universal precautions. You don't know if somebody has hepatitis, HIV, whatever the case may be. Protect yourself. I have quick clot, and a lot of the new advancements and teachings out there, they say not to use quick clot. But you know what? If I'm bleeding out and you want to use this on me, please use it on me to save my life if it's going to clot the blood and keep me from dying. What people used to do in the old days is they'll use this. It's basically got a chemical inside the gauze that helps start the blood to clot. Stuff it in there, it absorbs the blood, then it becomes a big cork and helps stop the blood. Some people are saying that the chemicals in here will burn you or whatever, and even some people have said that the clotting could even have secondary issues down the road as well. But you know what? I carry it because I still believe in it, and if you don't believe in it, oh well, you know, that's your decision. Like I said, you don't have to carry what I carry. But quick clot is nice. It's better than just having nothing, that's for sure. This is something that is a carryover from my EMT days. This is a chest seal. Basically, it's an occlusive dressing that you can apply to someone's chest if they have a bullet hole or stab wound, where air is going into their chest cavity, and it's actually going in every time they take a breath and collapsing their lung. As the air builds up in there, it's going to collapse their lung, and then they're going to die. And one of the ways you can help stop that is by sealing it. You apply, there's some directions on there how you put this on, but basically you seal that hole with this occlusive dressing. In the old days, they used to tell people to use a credit card or some kind of plastic, anything that you could use to basically get a nice seal on there, so when the person takes a breath, it doesn't suck in air into their chest. And if there's a secondary exit wound, of course, put one on there too. So that's just what I like to carry. And then another thing that I carry over from my EMT days is an airway. Sometimes people are so injured and damaged from a crash or an injury that their oral airway is compromised for some reason, and you have to bypass the oral airway by going through the nose. And this is just nice to have. I have lubrication here so you can insert it properly. Over here we have ammonia inhalants to help bring somebody out of unconsciousness if possible. And then we have some steri-strips here. If you have a laceration you want to close up and get those edges approximated, as they say. I have a surgical blade holder and surgical blades. Some of the guys out there may need to do a cricothyroidotomy, whereas they poke a little hole in your throat so you can breathe because your face is so jacked up. That's the only way they can get air in there. You might need this. Would I do this? No, I'm bringing this in case a doctor or a nurse or some kind of trauma expert needed it. I say, hey, I got this if you need it. Same thing with a closed chest wound. They may need to release pressure in the chest. You get that crackling sound because there's air trapped inside your chest. It's not getting out because there's a hole inside there. And they can poke a hole into your chest and relieve that pressure so your lungs don't collapse. But that's very advanced medical care. And this is not for me. Like I said, this is for those advanced people that may just need it. Tweezers, that's what I call them. Surgical shears, so you don't, and it's got this blunt tip here so you don't cut the flesh, the tissue. Hemostats for general purpose. This is just a particle mask. It's by far not meant for chemical, biological. It's just enough to keep the dust out. You never know. It might be a situation where you need to do that. Inside here, bandages, alcohol swabs, tongue depressor so you can help manage airways, and you can open and move tongues out of the way if you have to get down there and remove an obstruction. This is again a takeover from my EMT days. For the most part, you don't want to be sticking things into people's mouth, because if you're not trained, you can actually lodge it even worse. But if you do have an EMT background, obviously you know what these are for. EMT shears. I have a smaller set of EMT shears just tucked away right here in this slip pocket in the front. And these are nice. These are extremely powerful. They can cut through denim. They can cut a penny, actually. They can cut metal with these things. But if you need to cut somebody's pants off or their shirt or whatever the case may be, you can cut through a lot of material with this. And that's really it. As you can see, guys, it's not a whole lot of stuff that I carry. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this slightly different video from me. Again, a good light so you can see what you're doing. You can use both hands. A headlamp, this is the TH-10, and a tourniquet so you can stop that bleeding and save your life or someone else's life. Everything else is just extra, but these are the two things you really should have on you at all times, or at least available to you at all times. All right, guys, so tell me what you think about this video. Leave a comment below. I really appreciate it. If you have a medical background, of course, tell me what things you would like to carry in your IFAK or med kit. And please hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Helps me out. And subscribe if you just found my channel. Follow along, because I am going to SHOT Show here pretty soon. So you're going to see a lot of gun and gear videos coming from this channel. All right, guys, stay safe.